Hello, this is Stephen Dupree of NowEnergetics.com, based on YUEN Method. Welcome back to my channel. Um, we have enough information and enough extra materials to go over another karma article. So I created this part two. It's been kind of bits and pieces. The first article was done some time ago and I did a video on it, but I wanted to go a little bit deeper into these outside influences, which is the part two part of this article. So one of the things that we often miss looking at energetic issues or weaknesses is that a lot of this energy comes from outside of us. So much that we get distracted a little bit by a lot of modalities that talk about working on ourselves and working on our own stuff. Well, when you look at the kind of ancestor descendants lifetimes that happened before you ever existed in this incarnation, there's a lot more material there to get karmas from in other people's lifetimes related to you in terms of your ancestors in every possible dimension and descendants and so on, spouses, siblings, and so on. Then you can muster in this life working on things that have happened over the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years of your lifetime. So even if you have a lot of traumas or illnesses or things like that, or different things we talk about with karmas, there's always going to be more material to go through in other outside influences, other lifetimes, and not just your other lifetimes, whether you believe in that or not, but other lifetimes outside of yourself. So that's one of the things that a lot of modalities might miss, and we focus on pretty deeply, looking at the kind of energy that comes from outside of us, especially from the ancestors and descendants that you might have been in some other lifetime. You may have certain relationships that you have that have karmas where you had the opposite relationship in another lifetime, where if you were if you have a karma with somebody, or an ancestor has a karma, you may have actually been that person that was the victim in the past as well. So there's a lot of threads to pull on here, where when we come into this life, we could have sort of very different and strange relationships to the karma that are just layered on top of the karma that is an outside influence that we notice. So I just want to kind of bring that out, maybe talk about it a little bit more in this particular presentation. So this is Karma the sequel. So I kind of doctored up this original karma image here. I might do another one in if I have enough material. So but we talked about karmas in the first article and video that I did, and it was a little bit deeper than the basics. That was a pretty good introduction to pretty completely clearing karmas. But I think some of the things that I might have kind of not touched on completely are the outside influences. So that's kind of what we're going over here. So and it's not always again, our karmic elements and kind of being the perpetrator and what we've done to others, we get all of our karma, most of our karma, I would say, from outside ourselves. So that many times what we're doing really when we get that karmic energy is we actually need to reach back and clear other people's karma. So you're actually looking for a shift and acknowledgement at a descendant or an ancestor level, maybe from another lifetime even. So it's not so much even looking at our own energy. Our own energy has the imprint of that karma, and we inherit that sort of energetic imprint, and it can have a huge effect on our lives. But really, the source of that karma and where we're reaching back to clear it and to clear the tether and the karmic energy from us is from the past, from another person, from another ancestor or descendant, and so on. So that's what we're actually clearing when we're clearing this type of karma that is outside of us. So, and I kind of talk about this a bit here, the not me influences, very much so the not me influences, which can be the ancestral descendants chain. And we talk about other elements to spirit attachments, personalities of these other folks. But, a lot of times we can be very general with the connection when we're actually connecting with that ancestral karmic element. We don't have to get too specific. So, people that do things like Akashic records and things like that, well, we kind of peek in there and then we get out. We don't need to hear some big story about a karma. You can go to that level if you want to, but in order to clear a karma, we kind of go get the cliff notes from the library, and that's enough for us to clear the karma. We don't have to get into detailed discussions or research about it, right? So there's kind of in my view, way too much emphasis on details when you want to clear things. You want to get specific enough to know it's an ancestor, but you want to be general enough to be able to clear it without knowing the whole story and so on. So that's kind of what this is all about. So we're talking about other lifetimes, energy that we need to dissipate, and other people, from other lifetimes. And the important thing is the acknowledgement. So we're not just saying we're going to clear the karma once we find the element that goes weak in some ancestor, but we want to get the acknowledgement from that ancestor in spirit that it's actually been resolved. In other words, the energy's been dissipated and they notice it's been dissipated. So they're not still holding on to their end of the rope, and meaning holding on to you with that karmic tether and giving you that energy still, even though you've cleared it. So it's very important, much like when we talk about, perception blocks and things like that in the here and now kind of sense, where we clear our clients or ourselves. We have the same issues with perception blocks that go into ancestral change too, when we chains too, when we clear karma. So we need to make sure that the folks in the past sort of get the message as well. So it's one extra check that we do. So we talked about multiple personalities, personalities of ancestors and so on. Not that deeply common. And then we also have the tuning fork effects too. So we have to really be very aware in our energy that we can pull in effects just by having that sort of thought or minor experience. And if we focus on it too much, we can actually track those other experiences or people that have that karmic energy with something in their life, and it becomes part of your energy at that point. So we have to be very aware around us, the energy. And I don't mean in a fearful way. It's more like being just aware that you can be influenced by others' energy that's not your own. There's karmic energy of a space, and so on. So you can feel that energy even if it's not your own, and you can be influenced by it if you have some minor weakness that touches on that you could pull in some of that karmic energy. So it's like going into a room and noticing whether it's warm or cold. So you kind of don't want to focus too much on being aware of these things, but once you get to the point where you can feel energy, you're going to be able to feel that in a space, or by if some person comes next to you or something like that, you're going to notice something. And so that's something to just be aware of. So we talk about karmic energy and manifestation. And most of the time we're thinking that we're the victim of the karma, but we also could be the perpetrator. We could be on the giving, what we call the giving end of the karma as well. So we could be the perpetrator and the other person is holding on to their end of the rope. Or you could be on the receiving side of the karma, which we call sort of just a negative life experience. So someone did something to us, but they also may want their karmic connection to us resolved. So we still have that negative life experience energy. We still want to clear that energy. And when we clear that energy, we're also unhooking. If it's a karmic kind of tether, we're also unhooking that karmic tether from the perpetrator. And whether it's in this lifetime or another lifetime. And of course, the three different types of karmas are the direct, the indirect, and the partial indirect. And that can go through lifetimes and through various connections we have with our ancestors, with our siblings, people that have passed, and so on. So there's many shades of that. And so some of these negative life experiences in YUEN Method, there's kind of 6 or 7 common ones that we always talk about. The karma of a trauma. Someone traumatized you. Someone gave you an illness, or you had an illness, and that was created through some energetic weakness or something. Someone limited you. someone put fear in you, someone created fear or that type of energy in you, or there's some sort of miasm or some energy in your ancestry that gets passed down as well. So these are all the different negative life experiences, and they have their elements in karma as well. You can be, if you traumatize someone, that's a karmic effect, but you also on the receiving end, these are negative life experiences. So we talk about the different types of negative experience energy, and to more or less distinguish which direction it's coming in, whether it's karmic or it's just some negative life experience where someone else could have given you this experience through a karmic act, let's say. And we kind of go over that here. We sort of already discussed it. A lot of times the negative energy isn't something that's karmic. You just have unresolved events, thoughts, or experiences in your energy that you need to clear. So that's a very common thing when we work on our own selves. We have energies in this lifetime. We have energies from other lifetimes where we might have been a different person. We might have been, a different gender. All kinds of elements can come in there that where we have these, experiences and events that are unresolved. So, and that energy, follows us into this lifetime. So the way we act, the way we are is a kind of a cross product of all these elements of ourselves and our ancestral chains and so on from the past. So, we need to be aware of that. We don't get to, if we look at the energy in all cases, we're going to find out what goes weak, and we're going to know what to strengthen. We're going to know what to delete in terms of a karma and resolve it and move on to the next thing, basically. So it's in YUEN Method, it's really no different than any other clearing that we do. It's but it's a very important part of the work. It's probably the most important thing we do in this work is clearing karmas, either for ourselves or for other people, so they don't have to relive that experience, and they don't have to pass that energy onto their, where they live, where they work, where they go to school, or, in their family. So we're actually, when we clear that energy, we're actually helping them live a better life, and the family and people around them live a better life as well, not having that karmic energy around them. So that could influence them and, create, that energy could create negative experiences for them as well. So we kind of talked about all the different ways our own karmic acts and past life karma, what we've done to others. And, I kind of talked about this in the beginning. We need to, really profile how much of this is coming from outside of us and how much is coming from inside of us. And we do that very quickly with numerical profiling. If karma comes up, we're going to most likely lean towards something with ancestral descendant, the usual Pentagon effects, but we also want to know the percentage. It could be, at a very high level, we want to know if this energy is, let's say 90% outside of us and 10% ours, let's say. And if it's karmic, it could be either way, because, karmic energy from the past could cause you to create, try to relive and recreate the karmic element in this life. So you could actually have most of that energy from the past, let's say 90% of the energy from an ancestor, but because you have that energy passed down and you don't know how to resolve it, you could actually recreate that event in your lifetime and create your own karma from the energy that you got from your ancestor. That 10% that's left could be the fact that you're acting out that karma from your ancestor. You don't even know you're acting it out. You think that's the way you are, or you're getting back at this person or whatever. And it's really, you're getting the effects of that karma so deeply that it's creating, attracting, or perpetuating experiences in your life where you're actually committing karmas as well, acting it out. So that happens very, very commonly. And so we have to know kind of how big it is, right? So when we clear that good 90%, sometimes it's worth going back and clearing the other 10% that we've created in this lifetime from that major effect from the past, from the ancestors and so on. So it's good to know that we can go a little bit deeper, because we want to clear these things. We want to visit these things once. And the other article, Dr. Yuen says, you want to delete that karma, and you never want to have to visit it again, right? If it's a karma of stealing something and it's very deep and it's very severe, you want to clear that, and it comes from an ancestor or descendant from another lifetime, let's say. you want to clear that so deeply. You want to clear it into this lifetime so you don't ever have to visit that again. So you're not going to track these kind of experiences in your life where people are stealing things from you, or you feel like you need to take something from somebody else, that type of thing. So you want to clear that energy to be as neutral as possible, right? So, and again, I'm saying there's many more of them than us. There's many more of your ancestors, descendants from other lifetimes, other experiences, other dimensions, universes, existence, time and space than you yourself, let's say. And even though you have many selves, let's say, if you believe that you have other virtual realities or experiences or incarnations or whatever, there's going to be many more of your ancestors than of you, right? So that's why we look there for most. I would say for most of what we find with karmas, that we're gonna go back and find for things outside of us, right? So I don't want to belabor that too much, but it's a very important aspect here. Curses, we didn't talk about it that much in the first video, but curses are really just very, very long unsolved karmas. So you can imagine going through, thousands and thousands of years. And very often we have to profile, how far something goes back, because you could actually have created that karmic experience, or your ancestor could have had that karmic experience 50 times in their lifetimes. So, it's not always one event. Even though you get that karmic energy, they may have repeated that event. They may have traumatized a certain person a certain way. And we could profile it by using numerical profiling. They did it 100 years ago and 500 years ago and 800 years ago. Or you could just kind of generally look back, and say something like, it profiles back, 4,000 years. So you're clearing all that karma back through some timeline, and you're actually putting a good sized box around it. It's a very good tool to use, numerical profiling, when you're making sure that you get all of what you can get to clear a particular karma. So the curses are mostly about the intensity that happens when things stay around a long time. So some of this numerical profiling of years and number of times this happened and so on, it applies in this case here because you want to clear these curses very deeply. Curses are kind of more severe karmas. I would state it would be the best way to describe a curse. The energy gets so intensified that the perpetrators that want you to resolve it have almost given up already. So they're just like throwing the kitchen sink at you in terms of energy, and it can create these severe manifestations in the here and now for you. So you want to be able to notice when something's been hanging around a long time, like the Hatfields and McCoys kind of situation, where you have this sort of very deep karmic energy that we call a curse, right? And at the end of the day, you clear it the same way. You may go a little deeper with numerical profiling, but you're going to clear it pretty much the same way. You're going to delete it, and you're going to dissipate the energy, and you're going to make sure that you check that energy's been not only dissipated, but the perpetrators and the victims both, the energy test strong for them, acknowledging that the karma and the curse has been resolved. And sometimes you may have to do it several times if it's a deep-seated curse or something like that. But you still have that energetic Swiss Army knife tool to do that kind of work. So just be aware when you do these. This article is very much about the deeper clearings that we run into with some karmic elements. So this is why I'm going through a little more detail. Another place that we often pick up karmic energy is in the physical environment, because these acts happen somewhere in a time and place. So very often you can clear the karmic act, let's say, but the area there is, and people talk about often walking into a space and feeling a certain kind of energy. And it's a very common thing, and it's a very, very important thing for us to clear. If you have a living space or a working space or a school space that is over a certain area where some certain events happen, you want to definitely clear that energy. And we don't go through a lot of fanfare with this. This is just another weakness that we find as we check the field and the area around, that someone might be have a karma, and then the next weakness that comes up is the physical area where they live, where they've worked, where they've gone to school, where they've visited, and so on. So we want to make sure that we clear that energy with a thought, and we can just be just as general as saying it's someplace you visited, someplace you went to school, and clear that energy very generally. Most of the time we're talking about the very basic feng shui triad of home, work, and school. In other words, where you've lived, where you've worked, and places you've worked and places you've gone to school. There are other elements, you could places you visited, you go on vacation or something like that. You can pick up energy from different places and you can bring that back with you. Even get energy. Sometimes people will read about something. They don't have to necessarily experience it. They can just read about it. They can get triggered by a picture or video, or even thinking about it or worrying about it, that kind of thing. So there's many other elements, but the very basic kind of place elements are homework and school. And I would say visit is a good fourth one, probably. And so that we can reach back and clear physical areas. We can clear whole rooms. We can clear spaces and walls. And we just put a thought there, and that's it. It's a weakness in an area. We strengthen it. We check it again. We're done. Right. And then we ask the person perhaps if they notice a shift, if it was something in their space where they were bringing that energy home, a karmic energy or something, or they kept pulling it in and leaving it where they live or where they work or where they go to school. They should notice a shift. They should notice a palpable shift when we clear that space and we clear that energy. Not only do we clear the karma of the event that happened there, we clear the actual physical location. And that's going to make it better for all the people that go into that particular place in the future, right? We don't want that energy to be there because it's going to influence the people in that space as well. So that's very important. One of the things I talk about a lot is, people have feng shui clearings, and we don't treat it any differently. It's just another weakness. But you could have a business, let's say, and you say, well, I have all this problem with my, not getting enough clients and whatever. And, you're doing all the marketing and everything, and you feng shuied your, space, and you say, well, I've set it up all right. A lot of times, you could have energy in a parking lot, in a doorway or something that acts as a barrier. So you can do all these things inside and you think you've done a great job there and put your sage and all these other things people do. And the door itself could have the energy of that kind of a barrier kind of energy. So we want to be able to clear that energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be karmic, but it's just another element when we look at these things that people bring to us, that energy and environment can be in many kind of manifestations. They could be in a furniture, in a bed, in a wall, in a door, that kind of thing. And that energy acts as a barrier and a stopper for people to actually come into the space. And it may just be in one direction, right? So let's say the energy of let's say it's some practitioner that has an office and they have a door, and it may be that the people can leave and there's no problem. There's no energy stopping them from leaving, but there's energy stopping them from coming in, right? So we want to just notice it, notice what the weakness is in one direction, clear it, then it's clear in both directions. So, you're going to get more positive energy in terms of not having any blockages for people coming into your business, right? So it's a simple clearing. It's just another element to check with feng shui, that we don't make a big deal about it, like in the Western sense of the word that we talk about here. We just say, well, it's, you have some issue with the energy here, and we just clear it, we check it again, and we're done, right? So it's just another thing to strengthen and delete the effects of. So, and again, you're trying to clear it, so you don't want people to have to deal with that energy. It's either going to block them or it's going to affect them as they come in. I say infect, but it's affect, really. It's going to affect folks that are empathic for sure. They're going to notice that energy, and they may know a way to clear it, and they may not. We just use our Swiss Army knife of strong and weak to clear the energy. So that's how we do it. We don't make a big deal about it. Again, how do we do it? It's weak, we strengthen it. So you can think about it as we're kind of pushing that energy out, but we're really just neutralizing the energy. So we're kind of just taking it and dissolving that energy, right? That's the best way to put it. If you want to think about kind of a pushing, you want to be neutral about the energy. So when you think of it as negative energy, you're already biased about it. So we don't want to talk about it in that sense, but we're dissipating the energy, let's say, and neutralizing the energy. We talked about the tuning fork effect a bit, a little bit earlier. So we want to clear a lot of negative experiences in ourselves, so we don't end up being a tuning fork. We could have a very simple problem, but because we we have some focus on it, we're going to create kind of a field where we can attract other people and other experiences into our lives that are related to just having enough of that weakness in us to attract other experiences to us. So we don't want to do that. We want to have that energy cleared. We have to delete those negative experiences so we don't have any. So we're so neutral in a particular situation that we're not going to resonate or attract any particular experience when we go out into the world, or attract people to us that have really, like say a huge negative energy related to a very small thing we have in our energy. We don't want to attract that. We don't want to bring that in. So we want to be as neutral as possible, and we want to delete as much of these elements as we can, so we don't, we're in such a neutral state that we just don't attract these types of things. And even if these people come into our experience, into our space, we're not, we're so neutral about it, we're actually going to help them clear their energy just by our neutrality, right? That we have no tuning fork sticking out. And so we're going to help them clear their energy as well. Big thing is we want our energy even, so we don't want to create, attract, or perpetuate any particular problem or symptom or experience negative energy or anything like that. So that's part of why we do the karmic clearing to begin with, and deleting the effects of negative experiences, so we don't have these kind of manifestations in our lives. So we talked about tamping down these tuning fork effects. We get as neutral as possible so we don't attract these things. And we don't use positivity to overcome the negatives. We want to be neutral. We want to delete these experiences so that we get to neutrality, where we have equal energy. We want to energize our neutrality. And energize our neutrality means we want to even energy across all the different possibilities, right? We can take it or leave it. And take it or leave it isn't just an extreme of, two sides of an extreme. We mean, anything in between those extremes too. It doesn't matter. We're going to have such equal energy. We don't care which card we pick out of the deck. They all have the same energy, right? So that's where you want to be from a neutrality standpoint. And I talk a little bit more about neutrality here. People talk about, well, we want to be neutral. We don't care either way. Well, that's again talking about the extremes. We don't care. We want to be neutral so that we are in equal and same energy across all the possibilities. That's really the best way. All the possible outcomes and experiences, we want the same energy. So that's kind of where we are with, getting neutral to these situations. And when our energy is more even, we're going to be less likely to attract. And if we're empathic, we're going to be less likely to absorb the karmic kind of negative experience. We're not going to be an emotional sponge or something like that, because our energy just doesn't indicate that that's what it's going to attract. There's nothing, it doesn't consider that anymore, have any more emphasis than any other experience. So it's not going to attract really anything. It's going to attract everything equally. So there's no focus on any particular negative experience or positive experience even. So, so this is a little bit, on the karmic side, there are other elements that we discussed in this article, really just to go over the kind of things you can come up looking at your own energy, looking at energy from other people. And we have to look at these elements to do a good job. We talk about, where it's coming from, mostly from outside of us, being aware of curses that are more severe karmic events, looking at the physical environment. So you've cleared the karmic energy. The person brought all this energy home with them. So they're going to leave the session and they're going to still have what they have at their home. So you want to clear things a little more completely for them, especially when you notice by checking the energy that there's some issue with that energy being left in their physical space that they work or live or car or whatever, where they sleep, as an example. So, and also the tuning fork effect. So these are the kind of elements that there's still kind of general clearing elements, but when you're clearing karmas, you might as well do a good job and you don't want to revisit it. So this is why I go through these little bit extra in terms of the elements that you go through to do a really good clearing in someone's environment, and also get them so neutral that they're not going to attract that energy that they just that was just dissipated from them. in every possible kind of scenario. So I hope this was instructive for folks that are working on karmas. Again, it's one of the more important things we can do in the method. The other article, let's see if I still have it up here. There's the 2 karma articles here. The first one is in kind of this one here. I should call this part 1. Sorry about that. So this is kind of the part 1. Yes, you can resolve your karma. And then the part 2 is the one we just went over here. The not my browsers. This one here. Okay. Part 2. So sorry about the little mix up here. Got a lot of tabs open here. I'm going to do a couple of videos today, so I'm trying to get myself ready for this. I had a lot of trouble editing this article for some reason. I think I might have some karma with the WordPress gods or something, so I'll have to clear that. So I hope this is, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.